My name is Thomas Crampton. I have spent the last 2 decades between global journalism, a foreign correspondent of the New York Times, marketing, global managing director at Ogilvy and Mather, and in innovation, did a NASDAQ unicorn IPO. Today I help founders, investors, and institutions to navigate something I like to think of as a new asset class, which is emerging real time today, which is narrative capital. AI has reshaped everything around content, authority, trust. You might have heard that a lot today, heard that many days. You know, who defines trust? Who carries credibility? How does narrative become a competitive advantage? But today, we have the good fortune of having a world-class panel here to discuss these questions, looking at how AI shapes the future of media, authority, narrative, and capital, representing the highest global level of media ownership. We have Jeffrey Yam, who is board member, owner, operator of one of the world's best-known media franchises, Forbes. We have Adi Ignatius, who has for the last decade been the editor of Harvard Business Review. Prior to that, Time Magazine, Wall Street Journal. And we have Katie Tarbox, who is founded a first of its kind venture capital fund built on the explicit premise that in a world that is saturated with AI and increasing amounts of synthetic content, this new capital is emerging of narrative. Katie has a background that bridges those worlds, having formerly been a journalist at the New York Times and now then investment banking and now launching this fund. So Adi, I would like to start with you because generative AI, you might have heard of it, that has had an impact very directly on content. Will you have a job next week?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm simultaneously optimistic and pessimistic, and I feel like the economy is simultaneously optimistic and pessimistic about AI. You look at the valuations in the stock market, you look at the amount that's invested in not only AI companies, but in infrastructure. All our chips are there. So, I think we need to hope that there is value there. There won't be value for everybody. So when I think about our industry, I want to talk about another industry really quickly, just because it's instructive. So I interviewed the CEO equivalent, basically, of McKinsey recently, and was talking about how AI is changing the consulting world, and is changing the consulting world dramatically, just as it's changing our world, just as it's changing everybody's world, because AI lets you do strategy. You don't necessarily need a high-priced consultant to come in and tell you what your options are. So they have to figure out who they are, right, and what their professionals do. So that's the differentiation. What do your humans do? And what's interesting is they're hiring differently. Like no more. I think they have 1 million applicants a year. I'm not going to talk just about McKinsey, but they have 1 million applicants a year for 6,000 jobs. And they're like the best of the best, and they've been hiring people who aced their major and super alpha high achievers, and they've sort of decided that's not the hiring profile in an AI world. That AI is really good at linear thinking. AI is maybe not as good as discontinuous or outside the box thinking, and they're hiring they're over-indexing on liberal arts majors, which as one of them. Sort of, it's exciting. So for media, I think similarly, I mean, my belief is that we are, on a path where all content is for an individual person. I mean, we all have our own algorithms now. I just assume the extension of that is we are all going to, consume content, whether it's news, whether it's entertainment, that is created by us for us.
Just checking, this is actually you are here. This is not an AI avatar you sent over.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I sort of feel that that's where we're headed. So the model that we have, we're a website, come to us and consume what we do. I don't think
at an individual level.
Well, I just don't think that's I think we're going to have to figure out how to develop relationships with every individual, develop relationships and communities, still do content and do long-form content and do personalized content.
Right.
But the old sort of we have content, come get it, that cannot possibly be sustainable. We can talk more about that. But
Okay, Jeffrey, you run one of the world's best-known media franchises. How do you feel about media in this era of AI? Bullish, not bullish?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting time in the industry. Media has seen the digital disruption on print and the older forms of content, but the pace of AI disruption is much faster than anything we've ever seen before. And so in a way, it forces media companies, content businesses to rethink how they're gonna build their content, how they're gonna engage with their audiences moving forward. And there's talk about dead internet theory, and I believe 2025 is a year that
And dead internet being?
Dead internet theory is the idea that we are heading towards a future where bots are going to be, the internet will be largely bots interacting with bots about bot-generated content.
And Adi's not here, his avatar is.
Pinch him. He's the one to pinch. Make sure he's real.
So I think the opportunity in media lies in capturing human engagement, having niche content, and echoing what Adi said, it's going to be very community driven.
Okay, and for the benefit of the audience, Jeffrey has not said, and I will not go further because I don't know much about it, but not only does he believe in media, but you're actually preparing something you're not willing to talk about quite yet that is, you're excited about, that is a new media investment.
Yeah, we're building a new company in the media space. We want to bring power back to media companies, and we also want to make media interactive and allow users to sense check headlines. And living in a content world today where misinformation is a big frustration, we want to reward truth, and we want people to know where the truth lies in a world of noise.
And you have a way to do that?
Hopefully.
Okay. Well, watch this space, I guess.
Yeah.
We're not learning more. I tried in the green room, and there we are. And now, perfectly located between the world of content and the business side, we have Katie, who actually bridges the two, having been on both sides of that. Your take on the future of media in this AI era?
Well, I'm bullish on the bots because we just invested in Tom Rogers, the chairman of CNBC, the founder of CNBC. He's the chairman of a new company of bots, and we are working on that company.
Wait, so the founder of CNBC started a company of bots instead of journalists?
Well, I can't say much more, but it's bots involved. And so I'm bullish on that. I coming out of the journalism world, and I was there when the digital transformation was going on and how badly that was messed up and, caused real problems to revenue models for years to come. I think the legacy media businesses are so afraid about getting this right. They know they need to get it right, but one of their biggest moats is data, is the content, and how they actually do that in an AI world. I think that they've struggled. They've tried to hire top talent, and then the talent leaves because they're not moving fast enough. And what I love about these startups is they're building these businesses that are so capital efficient, so productive, and I'm not really sure that some of the legacy brands will endure and actually have the valuations and worth that they used to command.
Okay, and if you could talk for a second about narrative, because narrative is time. I spend my time going around trying to convince VCs, startup companies, that they should spend their time and effort improving their narrative, and you sort of doubled down on that and started a fund around the fact that telling a story in this era of easy stories, because NBC is now hiring an entire news organization of agents, that you think it's actually worthwhile to do that. So in a way, Jeffrey's doubling down on, he has media and he's getting more media. You're saying that we need narrative now more than ever.
Yeah, more than ever. So I started as a journalist, and then I went into investment banking, and I saw real time over many deals how shaping a story around the company really affected and moved the needle on valuation, really affected the outcomes. And I think it's critical for startups. And what's interesting is you've got these great, brilliant technical minds. You're seeing the deck. You're like, what the hell does this company do? You're talking to the founder for 2 hours, and you're like, whoa, well, where are we going? And then you finally get to a point where you're like, this is really amazing. But then I worry, like, how are you going to go out and raise institutional capital? How are you going to get enterprise customers? How are you even going to go talk to the press? So I started a accelerator called Founders Box, and I pair journalists, very top journalists, including the former editor-in-chief of Inc. and Fast Company and the founder of Wired, and to be paired with these early-stage tech founders to work with them on their narrative and to be able to go out to these customers, to these investors, to explain what they do, and it's working. One of our companies actually just landed McKinsey as a client. And I couldn't be more thrilled with what's going on there.
Using McKinsey as a thread to bring it back to the transformation of media organizations, I saw a friend of mine put out on social media a couple days ago this very funny photo of the award from OpenAI to McKinsey, congratulating them on the highest tier of business usage of AI. And his commentary underneath it was, this is where all that money you spend on McKinsey is going. Just use ChatGPT yourself. So, and I'd like to bring that back to media, because, and talk about transformation.
Yeah.
You've seen a number of transformations of media, Gutenberg press to movable type.
I was there. Gutenberg was a friend of our family's.
What can you speak about? What is your view on the way that media is going to be able to, what you're seeing and what might happen?
So, I mean, the economy is changing significantly, or this part of the economy. And if you think about, like watch Google. I mean, so Jeffrey was talking about the dead internet. I mean, we talk in media about Google's zero. Google's zero, as probably most of you know, it just means none of us is getting any referral, any traffic. Something like HBR, a lot of our traffic was Google searches that sent you to HBR. We would get traffic, we would support that with ads. Some of the people who came would convert and subscribe. That was sort of our business model. And now we're at almost Google's, or dwindling to.
How quickly did that come down?
What's that?
How quickly did that come down?
It's plummeting. I don't remember the numbers, but plummeting.
And it started, what, 9 months ago?
Well, no, it started. In some ways, it started before.
Last year.
Yeah, but it really accelerated. So now you have like answer engines, right? You have, you go to your large language model and you ask a question and you get a single answer. And, they're decent enough to provide links, but nobody wants a link. Like, we're in a new world. Like, users don't want links. And, so that was a big economy. So businesses knew how to game Google, right? And they paid for the search keywords. Google provided the search keywords, and that's a big part of the economy and a big part of how we got traffic and a big part of how people do business. Now you don't have that. Your ChatGPTs give you an answer. They're not transparent about the content that they favor. So people are deconstructing it and figuring, okay, it seems like they favor Wikipedia. It seems like they favor Reddit, but we're kind of just.
Well, this is from search engine optimization to AI optimization.
This is answer engine optimization.
Yeah.
But search engine optimization was clear, and you could game it, or, if you could pay for it. Answer engine optimization for now is just like, I don't know. So you've got a major just economic disruption that affects anybody in media, anybody in retail, and I think that's just playing through. So we're trying to figure out. How do we maximize the relationship with our customers? How do we have something that is unique and differentiated and important to people? And we've played around with stuff that hasn't. We're not there yet, but where every subscriber or every member, or whatever you call it, we have a relationship with them. They have a dashboard. They tell us, they give us LinkedIn quality information on who they are and who they were, right? But then HBR quality information on who they want to be. Like, I want to be a CMO, or I want to be an empathetic leader, whatever it is. And then we are aware of that. It's not just you read that you liked this, you should read this. It's partly that, but something more sophisticated that badges people, that tracks people, and maybe gives them some sort of badging that's actually meaningful to potential hires. I don't know if people want that. It feels like we can now do that because of AI, and we're experimenting with some of these things, and it feels like there's an answer in there somewhere, which is a relationship with readers that is valuable to them and not just to us because we get their data and can monetize it.
Right, so it's a relationship currency in a way.
Yep.
Jeffrey, you've seen this from, what's great about this is like an I hope people appreciate it, unheralded panel of content, now go over to media owner. You've seen this same phenomenon happening. What is you're starting a new company, investing time, capital into it. Without disclosing that part, what have you seen? What have you observed from your side?
Yeah, the industry is seeing a massive traffic drop, and it's forcing everybody back to the drawing board. And the next couple of years are going to be critical for all the companies in the industry, because we talked about AEO, GEO, which would be the evolution of SEO, but there is also going to be a gap between
understanding.
How long AEO and GEO becomes a skill itself. It's so early right now that no one really knows what they're doing.
And sometimes we wonder whether they know what they are doing.
Yeah, the models are changing all the time, and there are now media tech startups that are building to help websites and companies understand how AI is citing them, visiting them, how AI models are interacting with their sites, but it's still very early. So search is coming down like this, but the development of AEO, GEO is going at a slower rate because it's still in kind of a discovery phase. So these 2 years, it's going to be a real inflection point in the industry. And I believe that media companies that are, there needs to be a flight to quality, and you need to have human authenticity. You need to have trust from the audience in order to differentiate, and you have to be able to connect with people. And human community is going to play a big part in this digital world moving forward,
Again,
just across media in general.
And interestingly, Forbes has a unique community approach to it, in the sense of the lists and all of these global franchises.
And it's going to be even more important in the future.
Right, interesting.
Yeah, and I feel like content in general needs to be community driven too.
Okay, so interesting. So Katie, with these, what we have here is a situation where the internet is now awash with content, and people are not going to these media sites, which is prompting challenges at media companies. And what your thesis is that the world is actually missing something, and there is value in that narrative. And what's interesting, it's interesting you believe that, that's nice, but you actually have people who believe that. So who are the people who back your fund, and why do they think that, let's not listen to what you have to say, who are they and what do they have to say? Because what they're saying is this world of bot is trash content, which Adi will say immediately because he wants to keep his job. Jeffrey will say because he thinks that he wants the traffic and the whatever, all of Forbes is wonderful, not wonderful business models and all that sort of stuff. You're saying you have people who believe in it strong enough to just put their money straight in that.
Yeah, we are backed by Reid Hoffman. The reason why I'm wearing a Jer Bear skirt here
what is a Jer Bear?
Is
Jer
it's
Bear,
it's a Grateful Dead
my
skirt.
God. Okay, we have a Grateful Dead concert
because
in BNP Paribas.
Yeah, we should. Is because we're backed by Craig Kallman, who's the chairman of Atlantic Records, and there's a lot of interesting stuff that's going on in the music world, and so we have a bunch of very influential tech backers because they need to know what is happening next, and I guess as we watch these public markets on the AI bubble. Will there be a bubble or not? I am so bullish that what is being developed. I mean, even how we were using AI 6 months ago, or companies that are being created now. Like, I've probably seen 50 companies that are platforms to help companies position themselves within the LLMs, and then we have new LLMs being built.
It's going to be a bot war that humans are sort of observing.
Yeah,
Get some popcorn.
We're investing in a LLM that is being built from knowledge graphs up, and that specialized training and how we're going to be able to apply that to different industries. So to me, this is just moving so quickly, and is the innovation and the productivity is astounding that I think there's so much more to come, and I think there's a lot of people that want to be at the table for it.
Okay.
And I'm lucky that they back us.
Okay, and interestingly, taking the person you're having dinner with tonight, the chairman of Atlantic Records, this is, Adi, you mentioned that this skill set in McKinsey was moving towards arts major. I have a daughter who's passionate about classics. Please tell me why she has a great future ahead of her, and why the importance of liberal arts in a world saturated with AI.
So here's another, person who believes that. So the chief information officer of Goldman Sachs, he was in the room. His daughter was learning to code, and he had been pushing her, code, that's the future. And he finally, it's a couple years ago now, but realized no, and is urging her to study philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, in investment banking here too, we were hiring, they wanted people that could do these models. And when you think about really what is good investment banking, it's matching people, it's matching companies, thinking about, and so I thought
pattern recognition.
I thought the hiring in investment banking was so skewed because they wanted these Excel monkeys, and training these Excel monkeys, and that could just keep on creating tab after tab with pivot tables galore, and they never had the right skill set, in my opinion, to become a managing director, to figure out, should this company sell, should this company merge, should it even have lunch with a CEO, and so I have been testing and training the different models on how quickly they can create an LBO, how accurate they are, and it's astounding. So I'm very excited that liberal arts education is going to be coming back. I think human-to-human capital is going to be at such a premium in an age where all these models can just do all this linear technical thinking. And I think young people, and I'm sure that was brought up today, really have to rethink their, how they look at a career.
Yeah, and for media, I think there's another trend that's happening and will be accelerated this, and that's, with all due respect to Forbes and HBR, I think people are less focused on the brands and the publication and more on individuals, and that's why you see, things like Medium and Substack. People are making a lot of money in some cases. Heather Cox Richardson is probably the most read person, and she's just doing it on is she Medium or Substack? But anyway, on her own. So that has to be part of the response, to understand that, even a place like HBR, we're eclectic, and the people who publish are mostly outsiders, they're consultants. I don't think that's going to work for us. I think we need to develop personalities that you want in your inbox every morning or whatever it is, because I think, in some ways, journalism has never been stronger. There are so many solid voices out there across the spectrum.
That's exactly why the creator economy is so booming, right? And it's capturing so much of the general public, of the younger generations. Is precisely that, because there will be a fatigue with this information overload, and people want to go back to
Quality.
Yeah.
No, quality, and also mediocrity. It's like the definition of an LLM is programmatic mediocrity.
Yeah.
And if you look at ChatGPT, it's going to give you basically middle America.
Well, that's sort of true. I mean, but that was our hope initially as media, that, basically it was like Napster or something, that the content from LLMs was so bad and so riddled with mistakes that we would offer an alternative, whether it was AI-driven or not, that would be reliable. And yeah, you have to pay for it, but a little bit like the end of Napster, where all the files they were spoofs, right? And it was unpredictable. And then Apple comes and says, you got to pay $1 a song.
You weren't downloading that content. You've heard that that's what was happening on Napster.
Well, my iPod is still filled with those songs. But so we sort of thought that quality will win out. Then, so you're right about the mediocrity, but they're getting better and better and better.
Right. They announced the other day that they've fixed the M-dash problem. I mean, was like
that's the last one.
The telltale sign that you were reading ChatGPT is you just got M-dash after M-dash after M-dash, and I could always tell when a deck was being written by AI because we had M-dashes galore, and in our accelerator, there's no AI writing. It's journalists. It's top-tier journalists creating these narratives for investors.
Right.
But they fixed the M-dash problem, so we're not. I think it's going to be harder and harder to spot,
This is like before AI college applications, when colleges tried to figure out whether the parents wrote it. And the telltale thing was double space after period, which no kid did, and all parents
Double
did.
spaces went out with the typewriter.
I actually
Yes.
did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now a lot of colleges are saying they're not going to be looking at the writing quality. They're not going to judge that because they don't know how to judge that.
Yeah.
They'll just be looking at the content.
Same thing, PhD program, same thing. The coin of the realm used to be the dissertation, the written thing.
And now that's gone. Right. It's going to have to be live. It's going to have to be more in person. What is the answer?
Yeah.
Human currency is, I think, and human capital is going to be at an all-time high. What's real, what's...
Which is interesting, because if we look at what happened with media over time, we went from the ability of media through the press to reach masses in sort of a one-way system, and then we moved on to social. By the time we got to social, it was much more of an engagement at scale. And what we're saying here is that that can't be sustained, and it comes down to a human-to-human relationship.
Well, and then AI, the creation of the internet and social media, all of this was supposed to bring humans closer together. And then with AI now, with AI traffic, AI bots, AI content, there's like a semantic apocalypse where no one really knows what's going on, right? So anybody who can capture human intent, facilitate human connection, capture human engagement, those efforts will be heavily rewarded. And I think there will be massive fatigue as AI content continues to skyrocket. And
so I guess if you look at it from a media point of view, which is basically an echo of what Adi was saying, it's moving it much more to a personal level.
It has to be. Yeah, it has to move to a more human-centric, and you got to be able to really connect with your audience now.
Okay, excellent. We have 29 seconds, so I'm not going to ask you all anything more. I'm going to summarize quickly what we heard here, which is Excel monkeys are out, person-to-person engagement is in, and apparently, despite being in media, these people are optimistic, which I think is good news for the rest of us who enjoy reading good media.